Hi, Mr. Jones here. It's Wednesday the 26th of March. And you may wonder why, with the sunlight streaming in through my window, why am I not climbing on the roof? Why am I not doing my garage roof? Why am I not installing solar panels? Well, a job I've been putting off, and I've promised day after day to my son, and that is to replace the batteries in an Apple MacBook Pro. This one is from 2014. It's a model A1502. Now, I, rightly or wrongly, thought that once this happened, it was too expensive to take it to Apple. It cost several £100s to have the batteries changed, and it needed special tools, etc. And they're pretty much sealed items, and it wasn't really a user-friendly thing to do. However, on Amazon, where else? I came across battery kits for the various Apple models. Now this one is from a company called Asmark. It comes with the tools inside it. The special tools are in there. Everything is in there apart from isopropyl alcohol, which you need to remove the glue holding the batteries in. I've bought that. So I bought this kit. Why this one? There's many on there. Well, it's rumoured that this company actually make the batteries for Apple. So they don't state that in an advert, but in the various forums it says that this one does, and it gets extremely good reviews. So this is the one I purchased. So what I plan to do this morning is show you how easy or how difficult it is to change the batteries in this laptop, and then you may consider doing the same thing for any laptops lying around defunct in your houses. Okay, in my eagerness to make this video as short as possible, I forgot to tell you how much it costs. Well, I'm looking at the order details here, and it cost £55 and 10 pence. So, what's in the box? Already opened it, obviously. It comes with rubber gloves, spatulas, little adhesive pads, and protection for the screen, etc. It comes with a set of instructions in one language, which is unusual, but you can see those are the steps on one side and those are the steps on the other side. So quite a lot to it, but hopefully I'll be able to simplify matters and it'll all make sense. So let's see what the batteries look like themselves. To be honest, this is beautifully packaged. I'm very surprised. Here are the batteries. So they look good quality. They look good. They have adhesive backing on them. So you remove this and they'll stick in place. And they plug in there. Seems easy, but I watched another video and it's not. So that is that. And then also that comes with it, we have some special tools. Yeah, they're rather strange ends on these tools. We need those. And there's another sort of plastic levering tool, I think, for taking the various plugs out of the sockets within the unit. So without further ado, I'm going to look at the first piece and we'll get it stripped down. So the first step was to put in this cloth to protect the screen. I'm not sure why, because it's closed down. Maybe I'll find out later. The next one is to select the correct screwdriver and to remove the screws from the base of the laptop. One thing to be careful of, some of them can be different lengths, so we need to place them so we know where each one goes back, because it could cause damage otherwise. Okay, let's get started. There is a warning in the instructions that these screws are quite soft because they're made of aluminium. Majority of them were quite slack, but some along the front here were fairly tight. So you need to be quite careful not to damage the heads, otherwise that really would be a problem. Okay, so how does this thing come open? Okay, so that is the bottom coming off. Let's place that over there. And here we now have the computer exposed. Okay, the next step is to remove the battery connector plug, which is underneath a little piece of plastic here. So let's see how easy that is to do. Okay, need to pull it from the back to expose the actual plug. But it looks simple in the instructions, as if it just pushes off. It doesn't say if it pushes off, it doesn't say if it lifts off. But in reality, it doesn't want to move. And it would probably help if I look at the new battery, and I'll be able to see which way it moves. Oh, it might actually lift off now looking at this. Maybe it does. So I'm going to try that again. It is rather tight. Strange, in all the videos I looked at, nobody had a problem doing this. What I would say is this tool bends. It's not strong enough to do it. So I'm going to try one of the Torx screwdrivers. And yes, that seems to have done it. Next is to use the green Torx screwdriver to remove a screw holding the battery board. So that has now lifted one corner. So now I have to remove these screws from the speakers, and the speakers are on either side. So again, keeping them in order. These screws really are tiny and would be quite easy to lose. And I can see they are considerably different lengths. So this is really important. That was close. I nearly dropped that one on the floor. This one is also onto a cable, which I'm going to leave at the moment because it hasn't told me to disconnect. Okay, next. We've done the speakers. The next is to lift the speakers, which we have done. And then it says to carefully turn the speakers upside down. So then it says to use the Torx driver to remove the screws of the trackpad cable connector bracket. Right, now in this case the instructions don't quite tie in with what I've got here. It shows two positions where screws have to come out, and one of them does not exist on my machine. However, one of them I can see, so I'm going to do that one first. Okay, it shows more screws than I've got, but next it says to remove the trackpad connector, which I can only believe is this here, because this is what I've just taken the screws out of. Now there's a cover has come off, and then the connector is underneath, and now I have successfully lifted that off. Again, it's not clear, but this seems to be referring to a trackpad connector cable, and I believe that that is in this right next to it, in the center here. So, and there's another connector next to it. So we've got two connectors here. This one appears to be just something that pulls out, and I have removed the one next to it. So now I've got three plugs disconnected. I can see the difficulty here. This instruction shows the trackpad cable as going over the top of the batteries here. In fact, it doesn't. In mine, it seems to be underneath the batteries. So that explains why it's a bit confusing. So it is not as per this instruction. But okay, I believe I've achieved the same thing, but I maybe didn't need to disconnect them. They're quite delicate, these plugs. Okay, next one. Prepare alcohol or adhesive remover similar to the one in the picture for removing the battery cells. I have it here. Isopropyl rubbing alcohol. Put a plastic card to the edge of the battery cell. Slowly pour about 5 drops of alcohol along the plastic card and slowly push down the card to pry up the battery cell. Make sure the battery cell is separated from the upper case. Let's see how difficult this is. They do provide some plastic cards that I need to pour or drip it down, but I may have difficulty. I don't know whether there's any means of dripping it using this this bottle. I will check. But I've just worked out that there's no point you looking at my ugly face while I'm doing this. Better I focus on this, so I'm going to move the camera. I did disappear off to get this little pipette so I can suck up a small drops of the alcohol, which is going to be used to dissolve the adhesive which is underneath the batteries. Okay, a quick recap. We've taken the back off, the screws are on the outside. We've made sure that the screws are kept in the correct order. We've taken off took the speaker screws out. We've removed the speakers here. We've removed screws from here. There's 2 screws and a little cover. We've removed that plug. Now, the instructions show a cable comes over the top of the batteries, so that's probably why it needs to be disconnected. In my machine, it is not disconnected. It also shows it here. So I've actually disconnected the 2 of them anyway, purely by pulling back. The battery disconnection is here, and you have to prise the battery up. I would say that this plastic tool provided is not man enough for the job. I used the end of one of the Torx screwdrivers, but taking great care. Okay, I will now move on to the next step, and that is to remove the batteries. So I need a plastic card, and I need a few drops of alcohol. It says to put it underneath like this, and then drip a few drops down. That will obviously make its way underneath the batteries, and then we're supposed to wiggle the card and the battery should miraculously come free. Well, certainly nothing is happening at the moment. Let's give it a few moments in case it takes time to dissolve. Okay, I put some more alcohol on and let's just see. Now it's starting to give. Yeah, it's starting to move. At this point, I'd like to say I looked at other videos and it went just like clockwork. It was dead easy. Everything was as per the instructions, or appeared to be. I think these people have been practicing. Really, I'm doing this and making all the mistakes as I go along. So this battery is now loose. That's perfect. And you can see it leaves some adhesive behind, which I'll need to clean up afterwards. So next, I'll move on to this one. Yeah, it's starting to move. Okay, that's the next one out. Yeah, that's done the trick with that one. Well, it says just lift and remove the battery. So I guess these just come out of the chassis. They do. That one is off. That one is off. That one is off. The only one holding on seems to be over here. Now you need to be careful. There's a cable running around it. So when it just says simply lift out the battery, that's not exactly the case, is it? Well, it certainly doesn't just lift out. So I got a suspicion that there's adhesive under this one as well. I'm just looking at the back here, and certainly there is on this one. So I think I'm going to need to follow the same thing and get the alcohol underneath. So what I think would make sense is to come at it from the other side as well. Yeah, progress. Now it's starting to move, but not right to the middle yet. It's come from this side. I think this is what's holding it up. I need to put a bit more alcohol this side. So that is the batteries removed. I'm going to put them in a safe place, but now I have to clean up all the adhesive that's stuck here and obviously mop up the alcohol that's still floating around in here. Okay, this tool supplied with the kit, they call it a spudger. A lovely term. Never heard of it before, but they call it a spudger. I don't know how effective this spudger is going to be. That is really firmly fixed there. I'm thinking that in addition to a spudger, I need a drop more alcohol. Remember, I was a bit concerned about the very fine cables going underneath. Well, they are protected by this plate, in fact, so I probably needn't have been so worried about them. I think I could be spudging for some time. Jesus, it's horrible. I think peeling works better than spudging, to be honest. I don't know, maybe that's what the black tool is for. It's quite efficient at removing the adhesive, to be honest. Even more alcohol required. Okay, is this going to be it? Yes! Just clean up a bit more and remove the excess alcohol. I think I breathed most of it. Okay, job well done. Okay, so now the intention is to, with the adhesive still on the back, to put the batteries in place. Find their position, basically, I guess. Again, it's not as simple as it shows. It's not a case of just popping it in. Now that's sitting in, yeah. It is sitting in and I can see the screw hole there. So what it's basically saying is I need to tilt it and remove the adhesive. I have a bad feeling about this. I'm not good with adhesive. But I have a suspicion you don't get too many chances at this. The screw. Now I can see the screws. So now I think I'm okay to press this into place. Right, that's sitting down nicely. And I think I'm just going to get this screw in now. Okay, well that's it stuck down. And the screw is in. So next it says to remove the adhesive, the cover from the top. There's a little tab at this end to do that. So now I need to put the speakers back on. Now you see, there's a concern. This is the cable for the speakers, and now it's sitting right across the hole where I'm going to screw the case together. Let's try the other side and have a look. No, because it comes in a different direction. It's not an issue on this side. but it is here. That makes me think that that needs to pass underneath. Yeah, that's a careful thing to note, because if you put it on there, you'd screw through it and then the speaker would not be working. Okay, so the speakers are screwed back in place. Okay, now it tells me to put the trackpad back. But this is where it is not the same as the instructions, but I know that I have to put this plug back in place, which has gone quite simply. Now this one, I believe, slides in, and this could be quite tricky. No, it does not go in easily at all. I think actually that's it. You actually pull on the plastic there and it's gone home. It's in position. I'm not even convinced that these plugs needed to come off. I got that one back in. I've just brought some extra light here. Now, I'm not sure if that's in the right place. I'm going to pull. It seems to have gone in and it seems to be in the right place. Let's keep fingers crossed. Two tiny little screws, and they secure onto this little plate. Okay, that is back in place. So next it says, we put the trackpad cables, align the battery connector with the connector on its socket and press it in to fasten it. Put the insulin sticker cover on the battery board. Ah, okay, I understand. Okay, so this is the battery connector here that we took off. We have to align it and push it into place. That's it. It's on. Then it says we need to put a cover onto it, and here it is provided, and I'm guessing it just goes on like so. Why it's so important to cover, I don't know, but obviously it is. Okay, it's all back together. So I'm not too sure why I had to cover the screen, but anyway, okay. Well, we've got the Apple symbol. Yes, it's alive and it's showing about 50% battery, which it has not done for a long time. Okay, I put in the password. Yep, that's it working. So that's the job done. I'll just do a little recap once I've gathered myself again. Okay, the last thing I need to do is put the power onto it and make sure that it charges, and there it is charging. So that is working. It's done. Is it as easy as the videos I've seen online? No. It's quite a lot more difficult. Are the instructions perfect? No, they're not. They don't exactly refer to this, even though they say they do. Two of the plugs were very difficult to get back on, and I would argue that we should never have taken them off because there was no need. The third plug, you can possibly see why, because it could have been damaged. So really, and also the other thing to watch out for is that speaker cable. It could easily go on top of where the screw goes through, and then you wouldn't have speakers working. Speakers are working on this. Everything's now okay. I noticed in some of the videos, some of the other companies, they say you need to now cycle it up to 100%, down to 20% a number of times. On this one, it says you don't need to do that. It'll just happen normally, and the computer will get used to it, the software will get used to it, and work out the proper charge cycle for the battery. So that's it done. Successful. I can hold my head up now, and he'll be happy when he comes home. But it's taken basically all morning and was nothing like as simple as the instructions you can see online and the videos you see online. I can promise you they had practiced it a number of times before showing you that. Anyway, I hope you gained something from this. I guess it's going to be very similar for the other models of with Apple and with other companies, and maybe it will inspire you to dig that old laptop out and get it working again. 50 odd pounds, a lovely computer. Very happy with the result.